Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Joe and today I'm joined by Fantasy Football Scout Deputy Editor Tom Freeman and friend to have a look at his Game Week 5 team. Welcome Tom, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Joe. Yeah, we've got an addition here. This is Peggy. Let's say hello, everybody. So she came and sat on my lap at the precise time we were
Oh,
about to start recording. So
lovely.
I'm hoping she's gonna. I'm going to put her down
Yeah,
now.
yeah, you
She's
don't
just
have to have her
gonna.
the whole show.
She's gonna hopefully just go into the corner and remain nice and quiet. So good girl, Peggy, and we'll see how we get on. But
Excellent.
yeah, I'm good, thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor game week 4, like a lot of people, I think. But Villa in Champions League action a bit later on, so I
Yeah.
can't be too downbeat.
God,
So
rolling back the years, it's going to feel like 1982 again.
yeah, yeah,
I have got the right year, haven't I? Yeah, it is 1982.
yeah. It
Yeah.
was the year I was born, actually. Yeah,
Ah.
so I can't forget that one.
Well,
So
yeah. So I imagine there were a lot of babies born in the
yeah,
Birmingham area that year. Um, okay. So what we're going to do today, we're going to have a look at Tom's Game Week 4 team. As he said, it didn't go so well, so we won't linger on that too long.
okay.
We're going to have a special focus on budget strikers because lots are interested in them. People are wildcard in Game Week 6 can take a punt in Game Week 5. And there's also lots of options as well. Lots of players losing their places, injuries, etc. And of course, we'll look at Tom's Game Week 5 plans as well. Just a reminder, do check out the members area at Fantasy Football Scout. Any stats we show here, season ticker, etc., they're all on there, so you can do have a look at the members area at Fantasy Football Scout. You can make your own tables, all those kinds of things. Also, please do subscribe and press like. Subscribing is really good because you can keep up to date with our latest videos and podcasts as well. Okay, let's have a look. Let's get straight into Game Week 4. I've got a picture of a confused looking Eze next to your team. So yeah, you've got 41 points and it's a bit of a red arrow down to 3 million. So
Yeah,
yeah, do you want to just quickly run through your team, who your star
yeah.
is, and talk about some of the others?
Yeah, I mean it's Haaland and 10 others, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, but so from back to front, we've had Henderson in goal. I'm not going to say how many points they got because everybody was one or two. But we had Henderson in goal, Alexander Arnold, Konza, and Robinson at the back. Salah, Minter, Eze, and Rodgers in midfield, and then MUNIZ, Haaland captain, and Isak up front. On the bench, Bentley, Smith Rowe, who did return but didn't come into my team like he did for quite a few others due to João Pedro, but he's rooted to the bench in my setup, and then Porro and Kwanzaa as well.
Okay, so are
Yeah.
you heading for a Game Week 6 wild card? Is that your plan, or are you thinking it
It
afterwards, or?
Well, that's always been the plan, but when we bring up my team and have a look in a bit for next week, and I'm not totally convinced if it's going to be worth it because I think I can get to quite a similar team which I'd want a wild card to with maybe a -4,
Okay.
maybe even without a hit. So I'm still kind of I may well press the button. I'm just kind of I'm 50-50 at the moment.
Okay.
But the team looked good on paper last week. I think we sat here and did our video, Joe, and
Yeah.
lots of home fixtures, lots of
Yeah.
positivity,
I
and
said
just
you were
didn't turn
you were
up.
one or two steps ahead of me.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely wasn't. So, but yeah, players just didn't turn up.
Yeah.
Just blanks absolutely everywhere. I mean, Robinson lost that clean sheet so late on. And then yeah, I've got 20 million invested in Liverpool players, and they got 3 points between them. I took Saka out for Salah like a lot of people did, so I'm
Yeah.
5 points down with that. Started Muniz over Smith Rowe. He was benched. So yeah, it was just one of those weeks
Yeah.
where pretty much everything went wrong apart from Haaland, who at least kind of it was bad, but at least I got the captaincy right, and at least I could get 26 points via him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I see what you mean about your team as well because you're not that invested in, say, Brighton, for example, whose fixtures turn in Game Week 6. You can get a couple of Arsenal players, as you said, with a 2 frees or a hit
Yeah,
in Game Week 6. You've already got to Aston Villa. They've got good fixtures continuing through Game Week 6,
yeah.
and of course you get to keep Haaland. You don't have to get Haaland in, and you've got Pedro Porro, who is very handy from Game Week 5.
Oh, Well, I don't have Porro.
Oh,
Sorry, I do have Porro.
yeah.
I don't have. Sorry, what I was going to say is
Oh,
I don't. I
phew, I
don't
thought I got
have.
the wrong team up.
No. I was further ahead of you. I was already thinking about my moves for that. But
Ah,
I could potentially bring in Umbomo and say either Saka or an Arsenal defender with free transfers. So I don't have Umbomo, who kind of feels key in game week
okay.
6, but I could bring them in free transfers. So do I need to wild card? I'm not quite so sure yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So big decisions. We'll come to that game week 5 in a sec. Okay. What we're going to look at now is some budget strikers. The reason we're doing that, you've got MUNIZ in your side. I have as well. I'm going to bench him next week
Yeah.
because he's being benched at the moment. But we've also got some other issues as well. We've got some sort of emerging budget strikers as well. Calvert-Lewin's doing well. Vardy's rolling back the years, getting returns. So there's options there as well. There's some sort of teams with new strikers as well. Nketiah's emerged as well as a potential option. Meanwhile, potential injury to Pedro, Isak as well, potential injury. There's a lot up in the air. I mean, I think like me, you're probably going to hold your transfer until the end of the week because we're going to have more information then.
Yeah, that Isak eye injury feels key, doesn't it? If he were to miss it, and like I think like you've got as well, Joe. You said you've got MUNIZ as well. Suddenly, if Isak's a doubt, MUNIZ might not
Yeah,
start. We've got a bit of a problem. So that's why we're kind
yeah.
of looking at this list, just in case we need to react on
Yeah.
Friday.
And Wissa, who was a big target,
Yeah.
is injured for 2 months. Yeah, I've got Pedro and Muniz. Muniz on the bench for me, but I want to play Pedro. But if we get the nod that he's like a serious doubt by the end of the week, then I will move to put Pedro perhaps, just have a better first sub than Muniz
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
moment. Okay, let's have a look at some budget strikers. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone to the members area at Fantasy Football Scout. I have sorted this by minutes per expected goal involvement. I've also included some stats like fouls won and shots on target because they are useful in terms of bonus points. So you can see why a lot of strikers are getting bonus points if they get a return this season. I've also got the fixtures on the side for game week 5, which show that Ipswich have a favourable fixture against Southampton, as do Southampton against Ipswich. Everton against Leicester is good for both of those sides as well. Brighton's good little mini fixture run, good fixture run continues with Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa at home to Wolves is good, but so Duran could be an option there. Chelsea away to West Ham, Liverpool, of course, home to Bournemouth. But in terms of good fixtures there, it's quite a good week for budget strikers. Everton, Ipswich, Southampton, Brighton, Leicester, they've all caught good fixtures. Let's start with the top. In terms of minutes per expected goal involvement, every 98 minutes, so pretty much a goal involvement a game expected to get. But he missed a penalty.
Yes.
Van Ilsen at Bournemouth, sort of Solanke replacement. He's only 5.9. He's won six fouls. Been fouled 6 times. Minutes per shots on target every 67 minutes, and started 3 times. I'm not quite. I mean, Bournemouth's away to Liverpool. It's not the week to get him in. But in future, are you looking at him?
I think he could work, but I think it depends when you wild card. They've got 2 really good fixtures after next week against the newly promoted clubs, and then it turns bad again. So, if you were going to say wild card in 8, that a move for Evan Nilsson this week might make sense. I actually quite like him, and I think he is good. I think it's just a matter of time before he scores because there's a lot that he's doing right in that team. But maybe for somebody who's going to wild card in maybe 7, then there's a bit more doubt around him, and you might get 2 better fixtures from a few names further down the list.
I mean, currently Semenyo is the talisman in terms of expected goal involvement at Bournemouth. So that's one to monitor. I think he would get the nod for me on a wild card in game week 6. But if Van Ilsen and the next place, Wissa, I put him in. I've kept him in even though he's injured, just so people can sort of benchmark the alternatives against him. But they're pretty much on their own in terms of minutes per expected goal involvement. He's here every 105 minutes, and there's a big gap between him and the third place, which is Kuna, who we'll come to in a sec. But Yeah, Evanilson, his stats are really strong, as good as Visser's. So I'm very, very tempted by him. But yeah, Visser, big miss. Minutes per shot on target every 71 minutes he had. 11 fouls he won. I mean, he's just dripping in bonus points and goals and from close range efforts.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I think Shard's probably going to come in for him, who's
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
he's the midfielder, could be good, but that isn't going to help you if you've got Wizzer and you need to make a change to a forward. So,
definitely. Now Kuna interests me a lot. He is next placed on here. Minutes per expected goal involvement every 142 minutes. Shots on target are strong, but they're not sort of generating the expected stats. But minutes per shot on target every 56 minutes. He's won 8 fouls. He's 6.5, so he's a little bit more expensive, but 6.5 still cheap. Trouble is, he's away to Aston Villa this week, and the fixtures don't turn. I think it's until game week 9.
yeah.
But for those who think far ahead, or I've definitely got Kuna in mind for game week 9, but he's just not yet.
Yeah, I'm the same. I actually like Strand Larsen as well from Wolves, who's been a million cheaper but has had a couple of attacking returns so far. And I thought they were a bit unlucky against Newcastle at the weekend. I think that game could have gone either way, and Cunha's a good option.
Yeah.
But yeah, game week 9, perhaps even they go to Brighton, I think, in game week
Yeah.
9, don't they? So it might even be game week 10, dependent on how Brighton look then. But I think Villa, Liverpool, Brentford, City, it's a tough run, isn't it? And Wolves aren't playing good. They're not getting a good results at the moment. They're in a bit of a slump under Gary O'Neill. So I think that is probably a wait and see, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Perhaps not a wait and see though. He's 4th place on it. It's Nketiah.
Yeah.
So he's emerged from Arsenal. I mean, former hat-trick hero at Arsenal.
Yep.
So we know he's got the quality, and we've seen the quality from Arsenal players going to other teams. Look at Smith Rowe at Fulham. So Nketiah at Crystal Palace is 5.9. Just won a couple of fouls. Just won that one start, but his expected goal involvement is 157 minutes. So promising there. And the fixture's okay against Manchester United, but it's at home. Nketiah's, because he's former Arsenal. I just feel that he. I could be very tempted. Obviously, Mateta's more, but if I couldn't afford Mateta, who is on sharing penalty duties with Eze, Nketiah, I think he's worth a go.
Yeah, I think so too, Joe. I think he had 6 shots in his debut on Saturday, which is twice as many as Vardy, who's had across the whole season.
Yeah.
So that's kind of quite encouraging. I think he had something like 15 penalty box touches, which is the most in the game week among forwards as well. His positioning is quite interesting because Glasner's playing this 3-4-2-1, and he's kind of taken up that Elise position from last year, where he's a little bit withdrawn on the right. So he's not like the focal point like Mateta, but he's 5.9 million. So you've got to take that into account. And I think he could do pretty well. I think I would take him above Vardy. I might probably put Calvin Lewin, who we're going to come on to in a minute, slightly ahead because he's got penalties and Nketiah won't have. But I think he's one of the better options on this list for sure.
Definitely. Next one is Welbeck. Now, I think Welbeck's one to consider if you are wildcarding 6 and you just want to take a punt on. Yeah. He's a very reliable starter at the moment. I can't see him not starting. Is Pedro we don't know about at the moment. We assume it seems to be precautionary, but we don't know whether that precautionary is going to extend into the next game week, which would be annoying because game week 4 and 5 exactly when we want a Brighton player. But Welbeck at 5.7 minutes per shot on target every 83 minutes. Minutes per expected goal involvement 187 minutes. So he's 4th. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, he's 5th in this table in terms of budget options. I think
longer term, Joe. What is his minutes going to decline? Do you think, or is it hard to say? Or
it's hard to say at the moment because arguably he's looked in better shape than he was when he was at like Manchester United and bigger teams. So he's arguably a better player now. And I think I don't know if it was on this show or was it FPL Generals last week where I was saying, well, I saw the Brighton game I saw last season before last against Liverpool, and he did a Pele-esque goal. and people like laughing in the chat, and I was saying, well, yeah, have a look, have a look, have a look for yourself. Just key into YouTube, Welbeck wonder goal Liverpool, and you'll see it. And I think I think he's a really great option. The problem is their fixtures stiffen from game week 6.
Yeah.
So he's a real 1 week punt if you haven't already got him in. But if you're sitting with Welbeck in your team, then take heart.
Keep him.
Yeah, take heart from this. Next option is Chris Woods, who I was going to get Rissa on my wild cards. I've sort of kept that sort of budget, and I think I might get Chris Wood. I've always liked Chris Wood, because he's just reliable. Even if he's coming off the bench, or he's only getting 60 minutes, he doesn't need many shots. He's so experienced. Minutes per shot on target every 44 minutes, which is great. Minutes per expected goal involvement every 188 minutes, which places him just below Welbeck and above Calvert-Lewin here. I like Chris Wood. Nottingham Forest. I mean, obviously they put Liverpool to the sword. So, I think he's the boring pick, but he's probably the best.
It does seem to be that way a bit, Joe. He's not being spoken about that much, but if you look at his record under Nuno, he deserves to be, because he's been consistently good under him, scoring a lot of goals, and the fixtures for Forest are okay. I mean, they've got Brighton, but then they got Fulham at home, they've got Palace at home, who haven't looked, particularly tight this season. And then after that, what have you got? You've got Leicester. So, I think there probably is an argument. There was a bit of talk earlier in the season about Awoniyi and how he would impact his minutes, but that hasn't really come to fruition too much yet. And Wood feels like first choice there. So, they look good for us under Nuno this year, don't they? So, again, put him on the watch list, definitely.
Yeah, another reason I like him, I did a table for FPL General's show, so do have a look at that or listen to that if you're listening to the podcast version, in which we looked at the most attacking teams, but crucially who their talisman is, who is gobbling up the expected goal involvement. And interestingly, for a lot of these teams, it's not the budget striker, it's not the striker that we're looking for. So at Bournemouth, it's looking down the list here, if I can
Semenyo, is it?
Semenyo, yeah. I'm just trying to, Semenyo.
He's just taking so many shots.
It's Semenyo, not Ivan Olsen. Wolves, though, it is Kuna. That's why I'm very interested in him. At Crystal Palace, it's obviously not Nketiah yet. And at Brighton, it's not Welbeck and it's not Pedro. It's Matoma is actually the guy who's most likely. But at Nottingham Forest, it is Chris Wood. So that's what appeals to him. If I think Nottingham Forest is going to score, it's more than likely to be him.
Absolutely.
For the next name, Calvert-Lewin, very intriguing because I think we've often said, if fit, he's a good option. And he does appear to be injury-free. But he is also not the talisman for Everton. Everton are the third worst team in terms of attacking teams so far this season. And it's McNeil with expected goal involvement of 1.63. So it's not Calvert-Lewin. Nevertheless, minutes per expected goal involvement every 196 minutes. Minutes per shot on target every 160 minutes. So they're not great stats, but nevertheless, he is an experienced clinical striker who is injury-free. I think a lot of people will be interested in him, I think, because they're playing Leicester.
Yeah, and I think McNeil creates a lot, but I think in terms of who's going to score the goals, if Everton are going to turn a bit of a corner, and they've scored 4 in the past 2 weeks. I know they've lost both games, but they've scored a few. I think it is probably going to be him. I get why people will be sceptical, because he massively underachieved last year in terms of his XG. I think his XG delta was higher than Darwin Núñez. But he finished strongly. I think he scored 4 in his last 7 last year, and he's kind of taken that form into this season. 3 attacking returns in 4 game weeks. He's got penalties, and I think the appeal is those fixtures, isn't it, Joe? He's got all 3 of the newly promoted clubs in the next 6 game weeks, all away, but he is playing them, and then you've got some okayish fixtures at Goodison Park, and so I would probably take him over any of the other forwards on this list, given those fixtures.
I think especially if you're not wildcarding in game week 6, he's a great option because, as you said, he's top of the fixture ticker. Everton are
Yeah,
right up until game week 11 with all of those great fixtures
yeah.
that you mentioned. So yeah, I mean that's why it's tempting. Someone like me who's wildcarding 6, if I was going to take a punt, I can possibly go elsewhere. But yeah, I think he's a good option this week. Good option coming up. Sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say he was a handful against Villa on Saturday.
Yeah,
I mean, he really should have put that game to bed
yeah,
when it was 2-1, I think, and then he hit the bar as well.
yeah,
So he's getting chances, and he's up against good defenders like Konsa, and
yeah.
so I don't mind that punt.
Yeah, I
at
wonder
all.
with Everton with Branthwaite back, if he is back this weekend, which he
Yeah,
did look like could be,
yeah,
then I mean they can't. I mean for a team to be 2-0 up and then lose 3-2 for the second game week in a row,
yeah.
that's really poor. That's really poor.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, I watched the game with a couple of Everton fans, and even at 2-0 up, they're not confident at all. And they were all saying
Terrible.
this will finish 3-2,
Oh
and
no.
it happened. And they need Branthwaite next to Tarkowski. They've got problems at fullback, but I think it will improve for Everton. But they need to start getting some key players in.
Vardy's next in the list. He's only 5.7. I think he's just gone up actually. Yeah, I mean he's obviously not the Vardy of 2016. But I've always seen now 37, I think. So, but minutes per shot on target every 107 minutes, minutes per expected goal involvement every 230 minutes. But he's always defied the stats. He doesn't need many chances. He's very clinical. He would be the player I'd be tempted by to get because I don't want him long term. So it literally just be for 1 week. And a lot of people are holding transfers. There's this obsession. You can get 5 transfers. You can hoard them. But for example, if I went into this game week with 2 transfers, game week 4, if I'd have had 3 transfers, I definitely would have moved Gabriel to Robertson,
Yeah,
as so many people did.
yeah.
And so that would have cost me 13 points straight off the bat. So having more transfers, not necessarily a good thing. So I'm happy just to use them on trying to get the best team each week.
Yeah.
And I think Vardy would be a good punt. Next up in the list is Pedro. I think we can whisk through a lot of these ones because these are the sort of players that injury doubts or we might want to remove. So Pedro is next on the list, 5.7 million. Minutes per expected goal involvement every 240 minutes. As I said, he's sort of third behind Welbeck and Matoma and Welbeck there. But I put him in there just so we can sort of benchmark him. MUNIZ is next. He's not very. I mean, and Jimenez is there. So MUNIZ is generating more expected goal involvement than Jimenez, but it's a very small sample with Jimenez. He's been subbed on, or did get a start at the weekend at MUNIZ's expense. What do we think? I mean, I guess we'll know from the League Cup this week. Whoever's starting that probably is not going to start on Saturday.
Yeah, I did have a look on a Fulham forum earlier today just to see what the feeling was in terms of that centre forward spot, and a lot of them were saying they prefer MUNIZ in that role, but it feels like he needs a goal.
Yeah,
You know, he's on a long run without scoring, and just for his kind of confidence levels, I think he does need to hit the back of the net. Doesn't really help us. I mean,
no.
is Jimenez going to start at the weekend and then start in midweek? I think it's probably unlikely. And then we're going to be faced with that kind of decision at the weekend. It's not a great fixture anyway at home against Newcastle.
No.
It's okay. At least it's at home, but it's not great.
No.
I think Isak is going to be key, isn't he? Because I
Yeah.
think if he's out, then I might need to move from one of these forwards on this list because
definitely.
I don't trust really MUNIZ will get that start. No.
Larson's next. You mentioned him before, so he sort of wrapped up. Same with Kuna, as him. Keep an eye on him for game week 9 or so. Edouard's next at Leicester, formerly of Crystal Palace. He's intriguing me because he has been okay whenever he got minutes for Palace, but just the one start so far. Minutes per shot on target every 115 minutes. Tempted by Everton. I mean, he's against Everton. I mean, Everton will concede 3 goals if they go 2-0 up.
Yeah, I don't think so. I want to see how he fits into that team at Leicester and where he slots in. I don't see Vardy being dropped just for now because he's obviously one of their key men. Do they eventually put Edouard in and behind him potentially? But I think for now, I wouldn't be looking at Edouard now.
No. At West Ham, I mean, the talisman at West Ham is in fact Souček.
Yeah, yeah.
Expected goal involvement 1.75. Antonio's in this list at 5.5. I thought I'd made a mistake, and I still might have done. But when I was looking at the table, minutes per shot on target, 0. So he hasn't had a shot on target.
Yeah.
And he started all 4 games. Bowen came on, Bowen was already on, but when Antonio was taken off, Bowen moved more central. And I suspect, judging by these stats, we might see that more often.
Yeah, and Danny Ings came on and made an impact, didn't he? So I just think, and Fulkrug's injured, but he's going to be coming back in. So I don't think you can pick Antonio at the moment.
To be the central striker of any team in the Premier League and have 0 shots on target in 4 matches, it's very poor. So if we're looking at that, the manager's looking at that. Jimenez, we've already mentioned at Fulham, only just that 1 start, but minutes per shot on target every 39 minutes, very strong. Dyer Everton, he's playing out on the wing. I prefer, I go in a sort of sliding scale, sort of McNeil, Calvert-Lewin, maybe and Dyer. I'm just not that. Good player.
Good player, but and he probably helps those players that you just mentioned because if you've got a strike force with McNeil in the middle where he's been playing, and Dyer on the left, Calvert-Lewin up front, Harrison on the right. That gives me a little bit of confidence that Everton can kind of start turning it around a little bit. But as an FPL option, probably 3rd in line, maybe 4th in line at Everton.
And just to round off this table, we've got Delap at Ipswich, who might tempt people, but his stats are awful. Minutes per expected goal involvement every 674 minutes, despite 4 starts. When I was looking at talisman for attacking teams, Ipswich are the worst team in terms of attack. Expected goals 1.5 in 4 games, bearing in mind Liverpool is 8, for example. They do have Southampton next, but their talisman is in fact Leif Davis. So if I was going to go for an Ipswich player, it would be Leif Davis. And I did notice I saw him in the scout picks as well for Fantasy Football Scout. Understandably, so no Delap. So Delap, having said that, he could get a hat trick, but I'm not keen.
Yeah, he scored a couple of weeks ago. He hit the post at the weekend. The only problem for Delap is that Hurst is back for them, and he's gonna start eating into his minutes. I don't know if he'll start ahead of him, but he came off on 60 at the weekend. Yeah. So I didn't mind him last week, but as we go on and then you look at the fixtures of people like Everton and Leicester and things like that, that if you're looking for a striker to last you 6 game weeks or something like that, I still don't think you'd go Ipswich despite okay fixtures. It's just that Hurst threat. No.
I thought overall for me, I don't know if this is the same for you, I think it's that Everton Leicester game is the budget striker game, and Calvert-Lewin is the one to get if you're looking long term. And Vardy's your 1 week punt.
Yeah, I think that's it. And if you wanted to do something a bit different, maybe Nketiah, because I don't think that home game against United in the 5:30 slot on Saturday is a bad one for Palace. I think they'll score 1 or 2. Yeah. So, I'd agree with that.
Definitely. Okay, let's have a look at your game week 5 team. I've got a picture of Alexander-Arnold there. He's in your team, so hopefully for a better score this week. Do you want to run through your team and any potential transfer plans?
Yes, I've got Henderson, unfortunately, in goal at home against Man United, but not worth a transfer there. So we'll stick with him until we wildcard. I've got Alexander-Arnold at home against Bournemouth, Konza at home against Wolves, and Porro at home against Brentford at the back. Salah captain, home against Bournemouth, which is a key reason why we bought him in last week for captaincy this week. Got Minter at home against Forest, Eze at home against United, Smith Rowe at home against Newcastle, and Rodgers at home against Wolves. Got Haaland home against Arsenal, and Isak away at Fulham up front. And then I've got Bentley, Muniz, Robinson, and Kwanzaa on the bench. I've got one free transfer, 0.3 million in the bank.
So probably 2 scenarios here around Isak. So let's say Isak is fit. What are you going to do?
If he's fit, I'll probably do nothing. Okay. I'm still unsure about the wild card. We mentioned it a bit earlier on, but I'm looking at my team and I haven't got Arsenal and I haven't got Brentford. Now that's the 2 key reasons to wild card in 6, I think. But if I could save a transfer this week, I could probably get Umbomo and Saka, or I could get Saka and Gabriel and wait a week on Brentford. And I think quite a few of these players would maybe stick in the wild card, and that's why I'm hesitating a little bit. You know, players like Konza and Porro and Haaland, they're players which I want to keep. So I just need to weigh that up a little bit. But the only issue, the potential problem, is if Isak is out, and then I need to think carefully about what I'll do. Obviously, if MUNIZ is benched in midweek and then it looks like he's going to come into the team at the weekend, then that's fine. I would probably play him. But if there's doubts around those two players, then I might have to start looking at somebody like a Calvert-Lewin or something like that.
Yeah, I guess if you're not going to wildcard in 6, Calvert-Lewin is the one there. Excellent. Well, we'll see you again next week. Find out how you did in Game Week 5, and also to look at your Game Week 6 plans, whether you're going to wildcard or not. Good luck with the game week. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching and listening. Do remember to press that like button, and do remember to subscribe as well. Keep up to date with our latest videos and podcasts. Tom, good luck. See you next week.
Thanks, Joe. See you soon.